Close your eye for a moment and imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and everything in your life feels strangely connected. Your thoughts, your choices, the people you meet, even the obstacles you face seem to whisper the same message, as if life itself is trying to teach you something. Now ask yourself, has the world always been chaotic, or have we simply forgotten how to read its language? Many of us grow up believing that life is random, that events collide without meaning, and that we are nothing more than spectators trapped in a system beyond our control. This belief slowly drains our hope. It makes us feel small, helpless, and disconnected. But what if this idea is the greatest illusion we have ever accepted? Look closely at nature. The sun rises every day without fail. Seasons change in perfect rhythm. A seed knows exactly how to become a tree without attending a single lesson. Nothing in nature is confused about its role. Yet humans, the most conscious beings on this planet, often feel lost. That alone should make us pause. If everything else follows an order, why would human life be the only exception? The truth is uncomfortable but powerful. Life is not random. What we call chaos is often the result of ignoring deeper laws that quietly govern existence. Just like gravity does not announce itself yet never fails, these laws work whether we believe in them or not. Think of a man who never plans his future. He spends whatever he earns, eats whatever he wants, speaks without thinking, and blames fate when his life falls apart. Now compare him with someone who plans carefully, acts with discipline, and thinks before making choices. Years later, their lives look completely different. Was this difference luck, or was it cause and effect unfolding patiently over time? Our present conditions are not accidents. They are echoes of past decisions. This idea is uncomfortable because it places responsibility back into our hands, but it is also deeply empowering. Modern life keeps us busy, distracted, and exhausted. We rush from one goal to another, chasing success as if it were a finish line that will finally make us whole. In this race, something precious gets lost. Our sense of right and wrong becomes flexible. Integrity becomes optional. We justify small lies, small betrayals, small compromises, telling ourselves that everyone does it. But civilizations do not collapse overnight. They decay slowly when people forget their inner compass. A society is not defined by its buildings or technology. It is defined by the character of its people. History offers painful lessons. Great empires rose with discipline, values, and a shared sense of purpose. They fell when arrogance replaced humility and personal gain overshadowed collective good. We often admire the power of ancient civilizations, but ignore the moral framework that sustained them. True progress was never just about conquest or wealth. It was about creating conditions where individuals could grow, contribute, and live with dignity. When personal integrity fades, even the strongest systems begin to rot from within. At some point, every human asks a quiet question, usually in moments of loneliness or loss. Why am I here? What is my purpose in this confusing world? Thinkers, prophets, philosophers, and seekers have wrestled with this question for thousands of years. Some found comfort in the idea that this life is just a test before an afterlife. Others saw existence as meaningless and temporary. But there is another perspective, one that feels both demanding and hopeful. What if life is an ongoing journey of growth, not limited to one lifetime, but part of a larger process of learning and refinement? In this view, every action matters. Every choice leaves a mark, not as punishment, but as education. Like a student who learns through mistakes, we learn through experience. Pain is not proof of cruelty in the universe. It is often feedback. When you touch fire, it burns. Not because fire hates you, but because it teaches you its law. In the same way, violating deeper principles of life brings suffering, not out of revenge, but as correction. This realization transforms responsibility into power. You are no longer a victim of fate. You are a participant in creation. Fear is one of the strongest forces shaping human behavior. It controls decisions, relationships, and entire societies. We fear loss, failure, rejection, death, and the unknown. But where does fear truly come from? Look at a newborn child. There is curiosity, not fear. Fear is learned. It grows from misunderstanding and false beliefs. Stories of enemies, invisible threats, and forces working against us feed this emotion. Over time, fear becomes a lens through which we see the world. Everything looks hostile. Everyone feels like a threat. But nature itself is not fearful. A river does not fear the ocean. A bird does not fear the sky. Fear exists mainly in the human mind when it is disconnected from understanding. When we do not know how things work, we imagine the worst. This does not mean danger is not real. It means fear often exaggerates and paralyzes. When we turn inward and examine our own thoughts, we discover that much of our fear comes from avoiding responsibility. It is easier to blame external forces than to admit our role in our struggles. Now imagine existence as a single, vast intelligence. Call it God, life, infinite mind, or universal consciousness. Names do not matter. What matters is the idea that everything emerges from one source. Just like waves rise and fall from the same ocean, all forms of life are expressions of the same reality. Differences are real, but separation is an illusion. When we forget this unity, we act against each other. When we remember it, compassion feels natural. We are not born with full awareness of this truth. If we were, life would have no challenge, no growth. Instead, we arrive with limited perception and a mission to expand it. This world becomes a school. Every experience becomes a lesson. Some lessons are gentle, others are harsh, but all aim toward the same goal, the unfolding of consciousness. Ancient traditions understood this deeply. They emphasize purification, not as superstition, but as preparation. What you eat affects your body. What you think affects your mind. What you feel affects your actions. Purification was about alignment, creating a vessel capable of holding higher understanding. When the body is heavy, the mind becomes dull. When the mind is chaotic, wisdom cannot settle. Discipline was not punishment. It was refinement. Throughout history, humans tried to translate universal principles into social laws. One of the earliest examples is the Code of Hammurabi. It was believed to be divinely inspired, not because the king was perfect, but because societies recognized that laws must reflect something higher than human desire. When laws align with justice, balance emerges. When they serve ego and power, suffering follows. There is an eternal lawmaker, not as a human ruler, but as the intelligence behind order itself. This intelligence is not cruel. It is precise. Align with it, and life flows with less resistance. Fight it, and struggle becomes constant. This is not belief. It is observable reality. Power has always tempted humanity. Kings, empires, corporations, and ideologies rise believing they can dominate nature, control people, and bend reality to their will. History shows the same ending again and again. They fall, not because someone overthrows them, but because they violate deeper laws. Nature does not negotiate. It corrects. True greatness has never been about controlling others. It has always been about mastering oneself. A person who controls their desires, fears, and impulses is more powerful than an army. A society made of such individuals does not need force to function. Integrity becomes its foundation. Despite all mistakes, there is hope. Ignorance can be transformed into wisdom. Fear can be transformed into understanding. Pain can be transformed into growth. The future does not belong to those who dominate, but to those who align, those who correct the errors of the past instead of repeating them. The grand plan of existence is not chaos. It is refinement. False values slowly collapse. Truth, though delayed, endures. Authenticity outlives illusion. Each generation is given the same choice: live unconsciously and suffer the consequences, or awaken and participate in something greater. You are not separate from the world you criticize. You are one of its architects. Every thought, every choice, every action contributes to the collective direction. When you change, the world responds. Not magically, but lawfully. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be conscious, to observe, to learn, to adjust. When you do, confusion slowly gives way to clarity. Fear loosens its grip. Purpose stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like a responsibility you are finally ready to carry. The world does not need more power. It needs more understanding. It does not need louder voices. It needs clearer minds. And that journey does not begin in governments or institutions. It begins quietly within you.